Welcome to the Health Science Podcast, sponsored by the National Health Association. I'm your host, Dr. Frank Sabatino, and today I'm delighted to have as my guests Lisa and Clayton McCarl, who are part of McCarl Travel, who's an incredible partner for these remarkable global expeditions by sea that the NHA has gotten involved in. So welcome, guys. Welcome, Lisa and Clayton. How are you? Welcome to the Health Science Podcast, brought to you by the National Health Association, the oldest organization in the world, championing the extraordinary benefits of a whole plant food diet and healthy lifestyle, as well as water-only fasting. We believe that health results from healthful living and focus on evidence-based science that promotes the health of you and your loved ones, as well as the health of all animals and the environment. We feature experts from a cross-section of disciplines within the plant nutrition, vegan, psychological, environmental, and animal compassion sectors. I'm your host, Dr. Frank Sabatino, the NHA's Director of Health Education.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that you're here because, when I do my retreats and things of that nature, I always talk about the NHA. And when I bring up the travel piece, people get so unbelievably excited. And interestingly enough, in the last couple of retreats, I had a person or two that had actually done one of the trips with you guys. And so they were there talking in glowing terms about this remarkable opportunity. So I want to get into that. But before we do that, let's get a little background on both of you, because I know you guys have been connected now with the NHA over a period of time, coming to conferences, and the plant-based approach has been part of your life. So let's get a little bit of, how you journeyed into that. I know, Clayton, you're a professional, you're a dental person, you're a dentist, and you guys and your family have been making this move. So what were some of the drives, and how early in your lives did that happen for you both?
Let Lisa start that story if you want.
Okay. Well, I became a vegetarian probably 10 years ago or more. I had several friends have breast cancer, and I got hold of the China study and then stopped eating meat and was just trying to introduce more and more vegetables into our diet. So that was the very first.
And then I was in a CrossFit exercise program, if you know what that is, and I injured my back. And when they imaged my back, they found with an incidental image that I had kidney cancer. And it was fairly advanced, but contained. And I'd never been sick a day in my life. And 10 days later, they took out my kidney and surgical cure. They said, you're lucky. You would have gone 18 months before you had symptoms. Then we would have told you had 3 months to live. So we said, wow, if I'm never sick a day in my life and I was asymptomatic, yet I had this terminal problem, what else could be going on? So I started doing a battery of tests and cardiac calcium scores and different stress tests. And what they said is, well, you've got some age-appropriate atherosclerosis. And I thought, who wants age-appropriate? Age-appropriate for who? What is that cohort? That's just, So we started looking into things, and then Lisa had read Forks Over Knives.
We saw Forks Over Knives together.
We saw it together on a video.
Right.
And we said, let's look into this more. And, Lisa can't just read the book. She has to contact the person who wrote the book. And so we called Caldwell Esselstyn, and then we had to go to Cleveland to meet him because you just can't talk over the phone. It's not good enough. And so we went up there and met him and met their family. And we started doing more study and plant-based, whole food, salt, oil, sugar-free, we believe is the best lifestyle. And then we found the NHA.
Yes, I was at True North and I saw a health science magazine and I got on my phone and joined right then. I didn't even make it past page 10. I just said, we're definitely.
So how long ago was that?
About 8 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And so had you been out there to fast? Were you fasting out there?
I was doing a juice fast, and it went very well. And I met lots of great people there. And of course, the educational program is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Clayton, for your experience with the kidney cancer, so they surgically removed the kidney. Did they need to do any follow-up radiation or chemo or anything, or did they?
No radiation, no chemo. It was just everything was contained and no surgical cure. And I get an ultrasound once a year to look at my remaining kidney. And I have, that's done by a urologist. And I have blood labs taken to make sure that kidney function is normal, and it's fine. It's great.
That's beautiful.
It wasn't. It wasn't for more than a year because we weren't plant-based yet.
Right.
Right.
And then once we were actually in with the radiologist, and he was so excited that there was no metastasis. And as a previous open heart recovery nurse, I looked at the films and said, "What's all that red? How come?" And they said, "It's normal." And then one doctor said, "Well, it's age appropriate." But so then we started down that path. And we got very serious. It really was an overnight switch.
So you had a big background in nursing yourself, though, too.
I worked as a nurse
Obviously,
for about 10 years.
Lisa has a master's degree in nursing and was an open heart.
Yeah, so you have a very advanced connection with nursing, too. So you got a chance to see problems with the medical system up close.
Well, I didn't get to see many people improve after open heart surgery.
Right.
And I saw a lot of people clog their arteries within months.
Clog the new grafted arteries.
I never saw the dramatic change that I saw in our labs after just 3 weeks. And then as a nurse, I have a lot of friends who are in the healthcare profession. When I started telling them, "You won't believe this," and gave them the book, many of them tried it. And they also saw a 3-week 30-point drop in their cholesterol, and people that needed to get off medications were all of a sudden off medications. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's very funny to me because I know people come out of bypass surgeries and in a hospital setting get bacon and eggs for breakfast, which is kind of intriguing. How disconnected it all is from anything that we know is real and valuable. So it's pretty amazing. So through all of that, let's talk about your connection with the NHA, because you found the NHA. And what has the NHA really meant to you, truthfully? Aside from, we'll get into all the travel part, but what did it really mean to you to be connected to the NHA? What kind of meaning did it bring to your life?
One of the things I love about NHA is it's a fabulous umbrella organization, and it embraces all of the different phenomenal people in the plant-based movement and supports them. And I call their buffet at the conference the Switzerland of buffets. It has the G-bombs for the Furmans. It has the Daily Dozen for the Gregors, and it has potatoes for the McDougals, and it has nuts labeled for Esselstyn fans. And so anybody, a lot of people in the plant-based movement find themselves identifying with one. Maybe they're trying to prevent heart disease, or maybe they're trying to put cancer in remission, and they may have slightly different goals. And we see that in our travel groups. And the NHA conference seems that Wanda was able to make it so that anybody could walk through that buffet and find what they were looking for.
Celebrate our common cause and not focus on this minor differences.
Yeah. I'm here with Lisa and Clayton McCarl from McCarl Travel. We're going to take just a very short break to hear from our sponsor, the National Health Association, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the NHA Health Science Podcast. Dr. Frank Sabatino here. Are you ready for an extraordinary adventure that combines relaxation, exploration, and vibrant health? Then set your sails for the NHA plant-exclusive cruises. Imagine cruising through exotic destinations, savoring delectable plant-based cuisine, and engaging in rejuvenating activities, all while surrounded by like-minded individuals passionate about health and wellness. These cruises offer more than just a vacation. They offer an opportunity to immerse yourself in the NHA's principles of healthy living. And they rank incredibly high on the ratings of eco-friendly cruise lines. We all know how important our oceans are, and our cruise partner, Windstar, is fully committed to this. Join us aboard our upcoming plant-exclusive cruises and experience the synergy of health and leisure. Delight in gourmet SOS-free meals prepared by talented chefs. Attend informative workshops and enjoy the serenity of the sea, all tailored to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. For more details and to reserve your spot on our next adventure, visit healthscience.org and click the link under travel. Don't miss this chance to indulge in a wellness retreat like no other. Elevate your well-being and make memories that will last a lifetime. And remember, your feedback matters. Please take a moment to leave a rating and a review wherever you're listening to the NHA Health Science podcast. I'm Dr. Frank Sabatino, your host. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to the Health Science Podcast. I'm here with Lisa and Clayton McCarl from McCarl Travel, and we were just discussing a little bit about the importance of the National Health Association to them, who of course sponsors this show. It's kind of intriguing that when you think about it, sometimes these factions that have been part of this whole movement have kind of been at war with each other. And it's kind of silly because all it really winds up doing is confusing a population of people that just need to come into this fold and make these kinds of choices. So I'm glad that, like the NHA, like you say, is kind of the Switzerland of all of that by providing those various options. It kind of cuts through those tensions and those arguments that have sometimes surfaced. And this is nothing new. I'm connected to this organization going back to the 1960s and 70s, and there was always someone who didn't want to do that or someone who attacked that. And so it's nice to see that we're kind of transcending that to some degree and getting into the the real fundamental idea that it's got to be plant exclusive and we do better without adding salt, oil, and sugar, and lower fat is better. And, all of those kinds of things that are kind of the common denominator of all of those systems and all of those different ways that those different doctors look at things. So I'm glad we're cutting through that is my point. And you made a good point about that. So let's talk about the next dance of that. And that is where this idea came to link this whole mentality of travel, the travel industry, so to speak, with this idea of healthy travel choices. I mean, it's not that it's completely new. There are vegan cruises and things of that kind, but nothing really that really touched what you guys do. So let's talk about the evolution of that, how that came to be through your travel business and what it is now. And I think the audience will really be really open and happy to hear about all that.
Well, thank you. I've been a travel agent for more than 20 years. And I did a lot of group travel. It's just a fun way for friends to get away together and celebrate life and see the world. So I've always been enthusiastic about group travel. I did not tell any of our plant-based friends when the first probably 5 years we were plant-based that I was a travel agent, because every time we would travel, it was such a challenge. It was just so difficult. And so, when we walked into the NHA conference and after the buffet, I walked up to Wanda Huberman and said, Wanda, I'm a travel agent. And if you could teach a chef in a hotel to do this for 300 people, we can do this on a small ship with 100, 200, 300 people. And she said, I'm in. That was it.
That was the birth of that marriage between the NHA and your travel situation.
Yes, and our first cruise had some challenges.
Shakedown cruise.
We did a Rhine River cruise, and we did everything you would think we needed to do. We worked with the COO of the company. We worked with the director of hotel operations. We made a menu in advance with them. And we got on board the ship, and the chef had vegan butter in everything.
Right,
and,
of course.
So we sat down with the chef, and we said, you need to read ingredients because oil is the first ingredient in vegan butter, and we cannot include it in the foods you are preparing for our group. Well, he was not very happy. And it really took us a while to convince him that he needed to do it. So he wasn't fully prepared for the shock that we really meant salt, oil, and sugar not free. It's not, maybe not free, but it's certainly not added. And
Right.
so anyway, that started. And then I, months later, went on a Windstar cruise, and the chef instantly got it. And he made phenomenal meals for just a small group of 3 or 4 of us plant-based eaters. And he took it very seriously. And I said, I think I can bring about 40 people back. Do you think that'd be okay? Could you accommodate that kind of a group? And they said, yes. And so then the pandemic happened, and Wanda contacted me early January of 2021, while the ships were still not sailing. No one was selling small ship cruises or large ship cruises or anything. And she said, Lisa, let's plan this Alaska cruise for August of 2022. And there wasn't a vaccine yet. None of that had happened. And so I said, well, Wanda, nobody's selling cruises right now, and nobody's signing up for cruises. And she said, let's just give it a try. I said, okay, but we may only have 8 or 10 people interested. And within a month, we had 100 people booked.
Wow. It's funny because I've done a lot of retreats in hotel settings where we had to train kitchen staffs to do the kind of food that we do. So I find it interesting that you kind of did that on a fly, because normally we would have chefs do the recipes, then we would have these massive taste testings to make sure. You didn't really have that opportunity in those early cruises. So you were doing it on the fly, which is really pretty amazing.
Sent them recipes, and so they had a heads up. But on all these cruises, the guests will see Lisa and Wanda meeting with the chefs every morning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can imagine.
Before, what was great, what could be changed, and talking about the next day. And people put in requests for modification, and these messages are passed on. So it's not like it's automatic pilot. You will see Lisa and Wanda working with chefs every single morning to get the best out of it.
Right. And because we had so much interest and so much demand, within a month after the Alaska cruise, Windstar came out and said, we're going to put a limited menu that is whole food, plant-based, salt, without added salt, oil, or sugar on all of our 6 ships. And so they have been phenomenal. We work with the director of operations regularly, weekly at least. And he's just been so receptive. It's just really been amazing. And the other companies are realizing that this is a huge segment of the population,
yeah,
believe it or not.
It's not going
really growing.
Well, for chefs, leaving the oil out is one frustration for them usually, but the even bigger one is leaving out the salt, as you well know. So that's that blows the rest of the mind that was left over after you took away the oil. You know what I mean? So it's amazing that you've got that. So now when you go on these cruises, you don't need a set crew, because this information has been disseminated into a lot of different chefs that could show up at any time for any of these cruises. Is that how it works?
Well, Windstar has developed a corporate culinary program.
Okay.
So they have taken our recipes as inspiration and modified many of them. And we're still working on some flavor profiles, and we're still going back and forth, and they're just tremendously receptive. We have other companies too who have really want very much to be able to provide plant-based meals to all of their clients.
Doesn't the corporate and the cruise are on many times?
Oftentimes, yes.
Now, initially, you were dealing with your groups within a larger group, but I'm on the understanding now that you have cruises where the whole ship is just your group, or am I reading that wrong?
We've had 2. One was the Galapagos trip where we went with Lindblad Expeditions, and their vice president of operations is plant-based. and she came on the ship with us. And they did a very nice job. And we have the Tahiti cruise in February 2025 that at this moment is sold out, but we do occasionally get a cancellation. That is going to be 300 people who are plant-based. Wow. And Dr. Furman got involved with us on that. And it's very interesting because across that group, when I look at the list of people coming, we have so many plant-based doctors, and they may not be the plant-based doctors we know, but some of them are lifestyle medicine specialists. We've got interventional radiologists, we've got GYNs, we've got anesthesiologists. It's very interesting across the discipline. I'm super excited. And then we have quite a few chefs, and we have also social media plant-based leaders.
But categorically, separating it from some of the things like the vegan cruise, they're not educational journeys. They're really more for entertainment and pleasure. You don't have people lecturing, doing lecture programs. Because I'm actually waiting for that one so I can get a scholarship to one of these trips. You know that, right? Anyway, but the bottom line is I want people to know this is purely for enjoyment and entertainment. It's not an educational
immersion focused. We just had a group go through the Panama Canal and into Costa Rica, and they were hiking and swimming and kayaking and just doing all kinds of fun things together. It's very much a group builder, and it's fun for people to have a group of friends that all eat this way.
Yeah, like-minded. And it seems to me the plant-based crowd more active, more physical. You know, they want to do things. You know, they don't want to just sit on a deck chair. They want to see the world, be part of the world, get off the ship.
Right. And, stuff that sometimes is just not age appropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So Lisa and Clayton, let people know where they can find out more about you and about these. What's the URL? What's the location they can go to?
Yes, well, it's the NHA website, and it is. There's a green button at the top that says travel, and we have tried to accurately list all of our travel. And then if anybody wants any information, they're to email me, lisa.mccarl@gmail.com, and then I can help them with pricing and more information. I teach people how to book their excursions and just help along every process of booking a vacation.
And how do you decide on those locations? What's the deciding factor that you do? Do you send out questionnaires to an email list? Do you make that decision yourself? How does that come to pass?
We started that way. We during the NHA conference, we have a luncheon, and that it's people interested in plant-based travel, and we go around the room. Where do you want to go? And people kept mentioning Tahiti. I just had no idea that it didn't start out as a full ship. We were just going to take a group of 50, and
now it's 300.
And now it's 300.
You know, when I was a kid, one of my favorite stories was Mutiny on the Bounty, and I wanted to be the biologist that collected those breadfruit plants in Tahiti. So when you said Tahiti, that brings up all like my early childhood fantasies about that trip, you know, so it sounds pretty amazing. Take people through, if you can, the mechanics of what happens on when they plan for one of these. They have to take a plane to a location, get on a ship, and then you go to the location wherever you're going, and then take them through what kind of things happen when you hit those destinations. Take us through a little bit of a trip just for the audience.
Gosh. Well, one of the things that the Windstar ships have, they're small ships ranging in size from 148 to 312. And actually their large sailing vessel is 340. They have water sports platforms. So that they don't open the water sports platform every day, but there's certain days that will be at anchor, and you can use the water sports platform, and it has a trampoline and kayaks and paddle boards. So there's entertainment built in. Otherwise, there are excursions. And every day you'll have a port talk, and the port talk will go down the choices of excursions. And then they'll also, for some people, like to just cruise around independently. And so they'll tell about a few highlights in the area.
And you'll stay in a local area for a day or half a day? How does it work? How long will you stay in port at any one location?
Sometimes overnight. Wanda
Okay.
and Mark are on a cruise, and I think they have 2 or 3 overnight stays so that they can be more immersive in the destination.
That's very cool. That's very,
So
very
it just depends on the location. In our Tahiti trip, we have an overnight in Bora Bora.
Okay.
And we have a new cruise that we just announced, and Sia Hurst is hosting that group. She has a business called 6 Dimensions, and talks about health. I don't know if you've interviewed her yet, but she's
Sia the one from Greece?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I spent actually quite a bit of time talking with her at the last conference. So yes, I know
Yes,
she is.
excellent. And so she'll be hosting a group in the Mediterranean, and that one has an overnight in Dubrovnik. So and that is off season, shoulder season. It's in March, and so the price is very competitive. It's an excellent price, especially for a small ship, because one of the challenges we face is small ship cruises are typically more expensive than the mega ships.
Right. Yeah, with her, I remember talking because she's connected with Greece, and we talked about Ikaria, which is one of the blue zones, and I know that she does some retreats through that whole area.
Yes.
Is there any other kind of entertainment on the ship? Is there any kind of lounge or music or anything like that happens for the people?
Yes, there is often a Broadway caliber singer, vocalist, and then they have typically 5 musicians. There'll be a combo of 3 and then 2 others, and they'll combine sometimes, or they'll perform in different parts of the ship.
That's
and
fantastic.
Evening, they also have things like an evening trivia night, name that tune,
Right.
Morning yoga, a gymnasium for exercising on board, small but very functional. Sometimes they have bicycles, and you pull up to a town, they'll take the bicycles off, you can bike around. I think if you were doing a 7-day or 10-day trip or 14-day trip, and you were staying in each series of cities, and you were staying a day or 2 at each one, you spend so much time checking in, unpacking, checking out, packing again,
Finding food.
Finding food, you want to shoot yourself. So this thing, you check in the boat will take you to all the places. You never have to check in or out. You've got your room is set. We've already educated the chefs. You'll get your food fine. And when you get to these different destinations, if you want to do a full day there, you can. If you want to feel like a half day, you can. If you want to take in the city on your own, you can. If you want to take in the city with a guide, you can. Lots of flexibility with the ability to really change your mind or tailor it as you go.
And if you feel like a spa day, that's fine too.
You want a spa day? Do a spa day.
Massage and all kinds of nice things in the spa.
Right.
With the yoga and the exercise classes that people will do, or workouts that they do, does the ship have a staff of people that do those things, or do you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so they bring that.
The spa crew, and usually there's a couple of trainers as part of the spa crew.
Right. Okay.
They wear many hats. The person doing the massage also teaches the yoga and things like that.
How diverse are the accommodations? Meaning, does it go from a very high end to a very low end, or are they relatively similar across the board in terms of where people stay?
I've mostly talked about the Windstar cruises, and I will continue with that. On their motor yachts, which hold 300 people, every room is a minimum of 275 square feet.
That's good.
With a bathroom with a double sink vanity, a walk-in shower or a bathtub, and a walk-in closet, great refrigerator, great drawer space, and a sitting area. So even the porthole suites, even the entry-level suites, which is very different because on the mega ships, your entry level is an inside room that's much like a closet with a bed.
Well, that's pretty lavish right across the board, which is
there are no bad rooms. There are no bad rooms.
The sailing vessels rooms are smaller. They're about 180 square feet for the bulk of the rooms. And with AMA Waterways, it's a typical river cruise experience where you have the main level, the entry level rooms are on the bottom level of the ship, and they have what I call eyebrow windows. So they have rectangular windows at the waterline, but then you can go up to the middle deck or the upper deck, and you have a balcony. We also work with Lindblad, and not a lot of the Lindblad ships have balconies. Some do now. So those rooms were a little bit smaller. It was expedition style travel. Our Antarctica trip is luxury expedition, and the room is even larger than the Windstar rooms, and it has a heated cabinet to dry clothing after you've been exploring in Antarctica. It's quite something.
That's a pretty mind-boggling trip to think about, going to Antarctica.
We just got back in January.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do for the day excursions? What actually happens in Antarctica?
You layer up. Everybody uses 3 layers.
There's a special parka waiting for you on your bed when you arrive. You tell them your size.
But I mean, in the environment, what do you actually do in Antarctica? I'm just very curious.
In a Zodiac, they're very restrictive, which is very appropriate. Only 100 people can be off a ship at a time. And you go out in a Zodiac, and you can do landings in designated areas. You have to stay away from the penguin highways, and you give it's 3 yards from the animals. I may misquote that, but they make it very clear. You have to attend a lecture. You also have to watch a video and sign off that you've watched in terms of
we were
protecting
surrounded
the environment.
by penguins. I mean, we probably landed one island, got off, walked around. There was 50,000 penguins around us. They said, stay 6 feet from the penguin. Well, they're running around me. What am I supposed to do? Lecture to them, stay away.
You don't approach. They don't want to have anybody interacting with penguins. You don't want to change their natural behaviors. Absolutely. They could care less that we were there. They just wanted to follow the leader. And so
and lay eggs and have juveniles hatch and make nests out of pebbles instead of feathers. And there were 5 varieties of seals. One was a predator leopard seal. We had whales, orcas. So we were in small boats popping around, beautiful ice flows, huge.
Wow.
I'm not gonna get into all the details, but
no, but that's great. It's just fantastic. I feel like I'm traveling, Clayton. So it's great. It's good for me. I'm feeling good about it. So, in terms of what is on the horizon with this experience, is it more of the same, or is there anything else you really want to do with it, or you see it evolving in any other way? Talk about that, if there is a vision for that.
So it's very unusual for a solo travel agent to do a 50-person group. And I'm managing probably 10 or 20 of them. And it's because I also have my business of regular eaters, fat eaters, but it's also nobody really does a group of 300. So I have made it clear to Windstar, to AMA Waterways, to other companies, I want to train other travel agents. My motivation is very much to make it so that anybody can book plant-based travel when they want to go travel. And so I have 3 different travel agents that I'm working with, and I'm teaching them how to build their groups. And hopefully my vision would be that we would be able to do more full ship 300-person cruises and have several travel agents booking in to make it more accessible to more plant-based people.
You mentioned air and how we've been able to help people with air.
We actually are working with a company who has specialized in corporate air for 50 years. And we're referring a lot of our air business to them because they're starting. One just told me she's working on the group rates for Tahiti right now. And they also have 24-hour emergency service. And one challenge of being a solo agency is I cannot provide 24-hour emergency service, and especially when I'm traveling. So I do work long hours, and we can talk about balance another time.
Right.
We're seeking that.
Right now, we're just traveling. We'll get into balance some other time. You're right. As we wind this down, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience out here that we haven't spoken about, or some final words you'd like to share with them?
I do. And it came from the opening remarks of the NHA Conference in, I believe it was 2021, when Dr. Clapper took the stage and said that every one of us can find a way to help increase awareness about the health benefits of a plant-based lifestyle, and that we should really make an effort in some way to help spread the great word and help it make it easier for other people to live a plant-based lifestyle.
I think it's fantastic because we have to learn how to play with it and have fun with it. And that's what this is about too. So I can't thank my special guests enough, Lisa and Clayton McCarl from McCarl Travel, who are absolutely transforming really the travel industry and really bringing the consciousness of the benefits of plant-based and plant-exclusive living to the world of enjoyment and travel. And I think that's fantastic. And I urge you to follow them, go on the healthscience.org site, check out the travel opportunities, take advantage of this remarkable, remarkable opportunity. And I really want to thank the people that have joined us today, because without you, we can't do what we do. And I want to thank you for being part of this really active and healthy community. And on behalf of the National Health Association, I'm your host, Dr. Frank Sabatino, and I look forward to being with you on the next episode of the Health Science Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. We so appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you at the conference.
Yes, we will. Yes.
Thanks.
You've been listening to the Health Science Podcast, brought to you by the National Health Association. Thank you for joining us today and for your commitment to evidence-based health science that backs a whole food, plant-exclusive lifestyle and contributes to the well-being of all people, animals, and our environment. I'm your host, Dr. Frank Sabatino. Be sure to leave a rating and a review, and we'll see you on the next show.